Before David Beckham became England's king of crossing, there was already a winger terrorising defenders with deadly deliveries from the flank. Every time he touched the ball, strikers started making runs because they knew the cross would arrive perfectly. Long before Beckham's fame took over football, England already had its original crossing machine, but history slowly forgot his name. And today on Legend Play, we're bringing that forgotten story back to life. Chris Waddle, one of the most naturally gifted and creative wide midfielders England had ever produced. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, Waddle became famous for his dribbling ability, balance, unpredictability, and world-class crossing technique. He wasn't the type of player who relied only on speed or physical strength to beat defenders. Instead, he used intelligence, timing, body movement, and pure technical quality to completely control wide areas of the pitch. Watching Waddle play felt different because he brought creativity to a position that, during that era, was often built more around hard work and physicality than elegance and flair. Football during Waddle's era was extremely aggressive compared to the modern game. Defenders tackled harder, referees allowed far more contact, and wide players were constantly targeted physically throughout matches. In many games, wingers were expected to simply sprint down the flank, deliver crosses quickly, and avoid unnecessary risks. But Waddle refused to play with fear. He constantly attacked defenders 1 versus 1, invited pressure onto himself, and used skill instead of brute force to escape difficult situations. That mentality immediately separated him from many other wide midfielders playing during the same period. One of the most dangerous aspects of Waddle's game was his ability to create chances from almost impossible situations. He could receive the ball in tight spaces near the sideline, manipulate defenders with small body feints, and suddenly produce a cross that changed the entire attack in 1 second. Sometimes his deliveries arrived low and fast across the box, while other times he floated precise crosses directly onto a striker's head. No matter the situation, Waddle always looked composed while delivering the ball. For defenders, that unpredictability became terrifying because they never truly knew what he was about to do next. Strikers absolutely loved playing alongside him because his crossing quality created opportunities that most players simply could not produce consistently. Waddle didn't just cross the ball randomly into crowded areas. He placed deliveries with intelligence and precision. His crosses often arrived perfectly into dangerous spaces where defenders struggled to react in time. Many forwards knew that if they made the right run, Waddle would almost certainly find them. That level of trust between winger and striker became one of the reasons his teams remained so dangerous in attacking situations throughout his peak years. Another reason Waddle stood out was the way he dribbled under pressure. He did not rely entirely on explosive pace like many modern wingers. Instead, he controlled defenders using rhythm and balance. He slowed the game down, forced opponents to commit in the wrong direction, and then accelerated into space at the perfect moment. Watching him glide past defenders looked almost effortless, which frustrated opponents even more. Defenders hated creative players who could embarrass them publicly, especially during an era where physical intimidation was considered a major part of football culture. As Waddle's reputation continued growing, he became one of the most important attacking players for the England national football team. England valued his creativity because he brought something unique compared to the more traditional English style of football at the time. While many teams relied heavily on direct play and physical battles, Waddle offered imagination and technical brilliance from wide positions. He gave England an attacking weapon capable of unlocking defences through skill instead of simply overpowering opponents physically. During major international tournaments, Waddle proved he could perform against elite opposition as well. Playing against top defenders from across Europe did not reduce his confidence. In fact, those matches often highlighted how technically advanced he really was compared to many players of his generation. Opposing defenders struggled because Waddle's style was difficult to predict. He could drift wide, cut inside suddenly, deliver first-time crosses, or create opportunities from positions where danger seemed impossible. That unpredictability made him one of England's most respected attacking players during his peak years. One of the reasons football fans admired Waddle so much was because he played without fear, even in hostile environments. Some players became cautious after heavy tackles or rough treatment from defenders, but Waddle continued demanding the ball no matter how physical matches became. He constantly challenged defenders again and again throughout games, refusing to let intimidation affect his creativity. That fearless mentality made supporters love him because they knew he would always try to create something special rather than playing safe football. At the same time, defenders absolutely hated facing him. Aggressive defenders during the 1980s often preferred dealing with straightforward fast wingers because physicality could sometimes neutralize speed, but creativity was much harder to control. Waddle's intelligence allowed him to manipulate space and movement in ways defenders struggled to predict. Many opponents became frustrated because even when they thought they had forced him into difficult positions, he still managed to produce dangerous passes or crosses from impossible angles. As football slowly evolved during the 1990s and beyond, many fans and analysts later realized that Waddle had actually been ahead of his time. Modern football began celebrating technical wingers who could combine creativity, passing quality, and intelligent movement in wide areas. Suddenly, the type of football Waddle had already been playing years earlier became one of the sport's most valued styles. Looking back now, many people believe he would have been even more appreciated if he had played during today's football era. However, despite all his technical brilliance, Waddle never achieved the same worldwide fame that later surrounded David Beckham. And the reasons for that were not necessarily connected to ability. The football world itself was completely different during Waddle's generation. Back then, football lacked the non-stop global exposure that modern stars receive today. There were fewer worldwide broadcasts, no social media platforms, limited marketing opportunities, and far less international branding around individual players. Because of that, even elite footballers could remain underrated outside certain leagues or countries. Waddle's performances were respected deeply by fans who watched him regularly, but global audiences simply did not have the same level of access to football during that period. Modern fans can instantly watch highlights, interviews, and clips from anywhere in the world within seconds. During Waddle's era, football greatness often lived mainly in newspapers, television broadcasts, and the memories of supporters who actually witnessed the matches live. Then football entered a completely new commercial era, and Beckham became the perfect superstar for that moment in history. Beckham possessed incredible crossing ability and passing range, but he also benefited from football becoming more globalized than ever before. Media attention exploded around him. Sponsorships increased massively. Television broadcasts reached worldwide audiences. Suddenly, Beckham became not only a football icon, but also a global celebrity recognized far beyond sports itself. As Beckham's popularity continued growing, many younger football fans started associating crossing excellence almost entirely with him. Over time, older players like Waddle slowly disappeared from mainstream football discussions, despite helping define that exact role years before Beckham became famous. For many older football supporters, this became frustrating because they remembered just how dominant and creative Waddle truly was during his peak years. Even today, many old-school fans still insist that Waddle deserves far greater recognition in football history. They believe he was one of England's purest wide creators, a player capable of changing games through technical brilliance, intelligence, and crossing quality alone. Some supporters even argue that Waddle laid the foundation for the style of wide play that later became globally celebrated through Beckham and future generations of attacking midfielders. His story also represents something bigger about football itself. During older football eras, pure talent alone did not guarantee worldwide fame or legendary commercial status. Many brilliant players existed before the internet, and social media transformed athletes into global entertainment brands. Waddle remains one of the clearest examples of a player whose football ability deserved worldwide recognition, even if history did not always reward him with the same level of fame. In many ways, Chris Waddle represents a forgotten generation of footballers who played for passion, creativity, and pure competition before the sport became dominated by marketing and celebrity culture. He entertained crowds, terrified defenders, and created unforgettable moments without needing millions of followers or non-stop media attention surrounding his name every day. And in the end, while David Beckham became the worldwide face of crossing and passing brilliance, many football fans who witnessed the older era still believe England's original crossing machine came long before Beckham ever arrived. His name was Chris Waddle, and for the people who watched him play, he remains one of the most creative and underrated wingers English football has ever produced.